Greetings, sentient beings. This broadcast is not intended for children. There will be adult language. There will be strong language and adult themes.
How's it going? Hello?
Okay, and it looks like YouTube is having a rather serious lag behind us here.
Yeah, I see that too.
Oh.
Let me refresh.
Yeah. So anyway.
Okay, we're there. There we are.
Not seeing anybody in the side chat yet.
I'm there.
Well, yeah, I meant nobody in there that's not on the panel.
Doc!
But again, it's not uncommon for people not to come in until 10, 15 minutes later.
He said you're there. He said nobody's there.
There's Doc.
Yeah, Doc, you have to stay in the chat for now because there's nobody else there. You can come on the show when you get more audience.
Now people are starting to. We got some people lurking, which is always welcomed. Always.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a long time ago, somebody was like, "Oh, you lurkers, what's wrong with you?" And I stopped watching. And they probably had like 20-something people watching. And I clicked back like 20 minutes later, no one was watching because they talk trash to their audience,
Well, yeah. That's completely understandable.
Okay. Yeah, now we've got Doc and Tria and Ox and Renee and me there.
Awesome.
So how are y'all doing tonight? So today, Friday, is National Adopt a Shelter Pet Day.
Oh, you mean I might get a home?
Well, yes, we encourage anyone who would have the space for it to consider adopting from their local shelter.
I just need one bedroom.
Yep. Oh, I told my fiance when I moved in, literally all I needed was a closet.
Yeah.
No, as a teenager, I literally slept for several years in a closet.
See, but now, you need a closet and a one bedroom because you've come out of the closet.
Yeah, I'd already come. Well, see, I didn't have to come out of the closet because at that point I didn't realize I was in the closet. See, I was just being me, and it wasn't until a couple of years later that I realized that not everyone was bisexual.
I have that. Okay, so I have the LA problem where everybody here is, and then I go other places assuming that everybody else is, and they're not. So here in LA, every other person is bisexual, and then I go other places, and it's like they're still flying Trump flags.
Yeah, it was just that by the time anyone got around to having the sex talk with me, I'd already had a girlfriend and a boyfriend, so it was kind of too late at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
According to the bell curve, there should be more bisexuals than anybody else.
I would think so. Hey, Genesis.
Hey. How are you?
Just planning the world robotization project.
No. I can't even remember. What did I say earlier? I was like, where's Jenny? Because I was talking about cyborgs, and I'm like, Jenny's not here. Damn it.
Audience, you like my hat today? It's my special hat just for you guys. Here, I'll give you better lighting.
Where's my chef hat? Now I gotta go find my chef hat.
Oh, don't do that.
Well, you're trying to do show and tell. I had to.
Well, we can do show and tell. But, we're gonna
run. So finished a project for Sloth Girl. She wanted me to show it off.
What did you make?
I just covered one wall of her kitchen with pegboard for her to hang up all of her pots.
It's good to have your pot organized.
So, yeah, that's all. It's just, so she's got a place for all of them without them taking up cabinet space, and she can grab the size she wants real easy.
You separate like, good leaf, and then sticks for tea, and then seeds for planting. It's easier to keep them all stored that way.
Yeah, and smoking it didn't really do much for me. I would definitely try it as tea.
Well, the problem with it as a tea is that you don't get any of the active ingredients out, because all the active ingredients are fat soluble lipids. So you have to find kind of oil to cook it in.
Yeah, Will stepped away. He had just been talking about tea a little while ago.
What you can do, and I've done this, is if you first bake it so that the THCA becomes THC, and then you steep it in a mason jar in a bath of water in a slow cooker and some cream, and then it's not like that works better for making pot tea than actually brewing the pot.
Well, if you do it in cream, then I can make hot cocoa out of it.
But I'd never want to drink potty.
I love pot tea. It is there's this stuff that they basically sold so much that LA bought out the company, and then I don't know what happened, but they really don't sell it anymore. It was sold at most.
Do you make your own?
That too. Well, I will be, because I'm growing and I'm going to have an abundance at the end of when winter starts. It's going to be awesome. I actually have all kinds of plans. I know how to make butter out of it.
Too bad it's still illegal to send it across state lines.
So, I know somebody who mailed pot to themselves. They were going to a conference for 2 weeks, and they put it in a teddy bear and mailed it to themselves, and it showed up, and he didn't go to jail.
Well, yeah, not unless they catch it.
Well, now that you've outed it,
yeah. It's one of those things that you will probably get away with, but if for some reason they have dogs in the post office, the day it comes through, you're going to jail.
I think also, like, they had a really cool bellhop at the hotel because they mailed it to the hotel. So whoever was working in the mailroom was like, all right, I'm cool.
When I was in college, we had a friend of mine in the group, that high school and all that kind of stuff. He decided to go to college at the University of Hawaii, and periodically he would just random send us a fishing tackle box filled with pot directly from the islands.
Oh, that's awesome.
He says it's so easy. He says you just throw the seeds out in the backyard and ignore them, and you get 20-foot plants. Oh, it was so good and free.
So, Jenny, that's still kind of real. That's still kind of real. People do that out in the forest all the time, especially around here in the California hills. Like there's all kind of crazy people that just plant stuff and let nature take over.
Yeah, that happens here too, on the edges of the cornfields.
Back when I, for legal reasons, didn't grow, for legal reasons, didn't do it in a pot indoors next to a windowsill and let the natural sunlight just take care of it.
Yeah, when I was growing up, my dad was a great gardener, and just anything he planted grew, even if it was the wrong climate for it. And my sister tapped her pipe out on the outside windowsill. And my dad didn't know what it was, but we had a 3-foot pot plant growing outside her window.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. When I was a kid, we had one in my backyard, and I just think my pops kind of didn't care, or he was in cahoots with my sister. I don't know. I was so young and naive, I didn't know.
When I was still living with my parents after high school, that first 6 months or a year, you're still stuck with them. I decided to grow a pot plant, and I grew it right in my bedroom. Turns out my mom knew what it was. She just let me do it anyways. But it got about this tall.
Do you know it's weird? like this is the first time I've ever legally grown pot, and it's actually a really weird experience because I've always been nervous. I've always been like, oh, what if my neighbor looks over the fence? What if blah 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 blah? And I'm like walking out. I bring my plant, and I have one that's indoor and one that's outdoor. And my indoor one, I bring it outside sometimes. I was talking to my sheriff neighbor, holding it under my arm, having a full conversation with him with my pot plant under my arm.
That does have to be weird.
It was the weirdest thing to me. And he's like a no joke, punch somebody in the face, square head sheriff. He's a cool guy. I love him. But like, if I was going to get in a fist fight, I'd bring him with me. Let's just put it that way. But he was actually curious, and I was totally showing it to him. But it's just weird. Even still to this day, going to the dispensary is still a strange, surreal experience for me. Because in my day, you'd go to jail for anything. If you had a seed in your pocket, the cops like, "What's this?" It could be a hay seed, or it could be anything.
There's people in jail in Texas for the next 20 years because of a single dance.
And Nevada.
Oh, were they that tough too?
They had a sign that said like, you know, you can do everything but pot here, and it was always in the California desert. I bet you could find it online, but it was like had a list of all the drugs you go to jail for.
Back in the 70s, most states you could wind up doing prison for any amount.
Exactly.
It really wasn't until the 90s that they started passing the things of like, you know, less than a quarter ounce they weren't going to put you away for.
Milwaukee was slightly progressive in the late 70s, early 80s, and actually passed a law to make it just like a parking ticket, a civil fine.
Oh, wow.
Up to 3.5 ounces.
That is progressive. People were still going to jail.
Yeah, Sloth Girl found out that both of us qualify under the Minnesota's medical marijuana. So I have to talk to my doctor and see if maybe I can get a prescription for it for anxiety and to help sleeping.
Well,
you do that before I get there, okay?
No, I'm gonna tell you honestly, it helps me 1000%. Like tomorrow's my dispensary day, and I get excited every Friday because it's really helped me out, and it saved me jail time and grief.
Yeah, well, also we can't smoke in the buildings, but you know, if they'll give it to us in the form of edibles or something.
Or you know what, even
smoke outside the building.
Smoke in your car. Smoke outside. You live where nature is. The air is so much more fresh than where I live.
Yeah.
Where you take a deep breath out here, it's like smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, well, and that was one of the things my fiance commented on was that even downtown St. Paul, the air was better than anywhere in Syracuse. You know, that her asthma wasn't getting triggered.
When I lived in Arizona and Oregon, I didn't get sick one time because the air was beautiful. When I lived in MacArthur Park in the middle of Los Angeles, I caught pneumonia like 8 or 9 times. But the health insurance was different back then, so I actually got help for not that much money. So air quality has a big difference. And if people don't believe in science, look up the stats of pre-smog pump Los Angeles. The smog pump quite literally was part of many different things we did, but it brought the emissions down, something that we saw within a 15-year span. We literally saw the difference. So that's something technology actually helped the environment. Because it's still bad here, but
the whole East Coast used to be like that from mid Ohio all the way to New York City was refineries and factories and tall smokestacks, and the whole area would just be a constant fog during the day, and it was all pollution.
When I was a kid, they'd have smog alerts on the news in the morning, and we would see the smog rolling over the hill from Los Angeles over each valley. It's gross. And still to this day, the only other place in Mexico City, they burn their trash. And so it's the only other place I've seen where they have a halo over the city, like LA. LA like has a full halo of of smog over it. It's we're almost back to where we were when I was a kid.
Really?
And I'll tell you why. It's because in order to make change, you have to have a concerted effort. And if people stop doing things like registering their cars, like little things like that, it got so bad here that anybody who is in the state of California, if you don't have a felony, you can get a license, because there were so many people driving without licenses. And people don't take care of their cars. They don't do the admissions. They don't have to get a smog check. Why would they care if they're just driving dirty anyways?
Yeah, in Wisconsin, it was only the 6 counties in the southeast corner of the state where emissions testing was required. And to this day, it still is, although it's less stringent than it was as far as the numbers that you have to spit out.
Yeah.
But the rest of the state could do whatever they wanted. And we got nailed because it seemed like whenever they measured the emissions, they did it on a day when the winds were out of the south and we were getting all of the shit blown from Chicago. Came right up the lakeshore and filled in our valley.
Well, that's in the late 90s. Minneapolis was doing it, but I think it was basically only the Twin Cities metro area.
But it's okay, I mean, we have everything your car puts out, you have to breathe in, so you really should care about what your car is putting out. I don't care if you're getting tested or not.
In LA, we've had studies of people who live next to the freeway. They are 10 times more likely to die of cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And simple
kids developing asthma.
Oh, same thing. Simple things, and it's simple things as a retaining wall. A brick wall will save someone's life. And they show the difference between when they have the retaining walls that are 15 feet up above the freeway. So when you drive past a half of LA, all you see are giant brick walls in the trees when on the freeways. People live longer in those neighborhoods. When it's just a chain link fence, people they don't live as long. At least that's what the science says, but we can all fight over science.
No, I can believe that.
Actuarials are pretty hard to fight against.
Yeah, exactly.
They're hard numbers, and they're there after you're dead. You're in the column.
It's so sad.
Argue about that.
When I lived in Oregon, people would drown so much in the rivers that they would be like, 19 people drowned today. And then in movie news, blah, blah, blah. And they would move right on because it was so normal. I almost drowned from drinking. So kids, if you're drinking Jameson and smoking blunts on a pontoon boat and it's 105 outside, you'll probably drown. I jumped in Detroit Lake, Oregon. I jumped in the lake and my lungs shrunk because I had never been in glacial water before because I'm from California. and I can swim like I'm from the land of pools. Like I could swim. I'll embarrass somebody swimming, I'll race anybody. I didn't know about lake waters.
So when you jumped in, did you get lumps in your throat?
I have asthma, so my lungs literally went half.
No, lumps.
Oh no, I that day I almost
shrinkage.
I almost drowned, and they almost had to perform CPR on me. So kids, drinking and boating do not mix.
Yeah, no, do not get drunk on a boat. Lots of people in Minnesota drown that way every summer.
Yep, Michigan too. You know it.
Oh, Sloth Girl says there's a Detroit Lake, Minnesota too. Oh, that's funny.
Yep. Yeah, there is actually.
That's so funny. Detroit Lake, Oregon, the entire town was one street, and they made all their money off the lake. So they would rent pontoon boats, and to anybody. I didn't even know how to pilot a boat, and they gave me the keys. Good times.
Yeah, well, they figure what you're going to run into on the lake, which is a bad assumption, actually, but they do it all the time.
Well,
Especially
you might run into a muskellunge.
or a stump.
Yeah.
There's
another
trees growing.
boat.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Or another
Kenny.
boat.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like we're missing the obvious one.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
Well-
a snowmobile.
Yeah,
We
and
were
it
partying.
got a
so-
lot of people upset here in the early 2000s that a Minnesota court ruled that the cops had authority on the lake and that operating a motorboat drunk counted as drunk driving.
Yep.
That you were operating a motor vehicle, so all the same laws applied.
Yeah.
It should be.
And it really got people pissed off when the court ruled on that. But yeah, it changed a lot of things after that got well known.
You know, a lot of people get pissed off about stuff like that. Like, you know, don't smoke in my house. Oh my God, that's such bullshit, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, you disrespectful little prick. Get out of my house.
I've
Same
seen
thing.
I've seen people light up cigarettes.
Yeah.
You know, it's been smoking has been outlawed in California since the 80s, I think, or early 90s. And people still light
Yeah,
up cigarettes
first
at
state.
McDonald's.
Well, you know, it's the same thing with the maskers. They don't get that you do not have the right to endanger someone else's life.
Absolutely. And that's my new thing. Like, we all have opinions, we all do asinine
reminds me.
stuff, but
Hold on.
I do not have the right to go around putting people's lives at risk. That's why I don't drink a bottle of Jameson when I go drive to the dispensary, or put a blindfold on when I go driving.
Speaking of endangering other people's lives, didn't Joe Rogan recently say some dumb shit about, like, if you're 21 and healthy, you shouldn't need to get the vaccine?
Yeah, he was spouting all kinds of anti-vax stuff.
I hate to be boomer, but why is he still, like, he has one of the largest audiences?
Yeah,
because edgy right-wing libertarians need a daddy figure that's not going to tell them to put their clothes in the laundry basket.
So can I have a few questions. I had a crush on a libertarian like a year ago, and I found out how weird they are. Are libertarians just people who want to walk around with guns and call themselves like Republican light?
So there's like
libertarians are Republicans without all the nasty rules.
There's like different types of libertarians. I'm technically a libertarian. I'm not a right-wing libertarian. There's like at its core, what it means to be a libertarian should be people who want to get away from an authoritarian or like make sure that we don't live in an authoritarian society, right? So like I'm sorry, my brain is like
basically
really
the
foggy.
libertarians overlap the Republicans on the issues of minimal government. That basically they don't want the government passing any unnecessary laws. So basically,
libertarians don't want them passing any laws.
Yeah.
But the one thing that turned me on is all the libertarians I met and had the joy of watching a year and a half ago. They were super anti-Nazi, and because that's like my one of my major platforms, it drew me towards them. But I left just as confused with the group.
The biggest problem with the libertarian philosophy is it is also very capitalistic.
Okay.
And they tend to think that things like, for infrastructure, that it'll be just fine to make every single street a toll road and let a private company maintain it.
Yikes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the idea kind of falls apart.
And they also tend to believe that there's no need for the EPA to even exist. That corporations will keep themselves clean because they're part of society. Yeah. And it's like, what part of the last 200 years of industrialization did you miss where corporations said they couldn't give a fuck about the environment.
See,
Yeah.
but that
Well,
goes back
a
to
lot of
what I
people
said.
think that they are the value creators, and they create the jobs, and all the morals and everything else because of it. And this is where we get to be afraid of socialism bullshit. And it's not true. I mean, it just shows. I mean, well, for fuck's sakes, corporations just walked away with almost $3 trillion when old redheaded fuckstick was in office. But I'm just going to show you guys, that this is what I want to do when I walk into the store, just dressed like this and just kind of.
Mm. Mm.
Turn it off before you get copyright strike.
I
Well, that's too late for that.
was about to say copyright strikes like 3 seconds.
Is
Yeah, it's
it
already
really
happened.
these days?
Yeah, it's already
Yeah.
happened.
Well, they claim it's up to 10 seconds, but I know people have gotten nailed for less than that.
Exactly.
Really?
I always say like it was probably like a year and a half ago. I was on 2 different streams with Stool, and they both got shut down in midstream. But Stool was trying.
Well, it's what I'm saying is it's actually kind of fun to dress up and have a mask or do whatever. You just got to be a little bit creative and have fun with it. I mean, you just can't just say, hey, everything is horrible and I don't want to be part of society because it's horrible. Well, fucking okay. What do you do with all the other things in your life that you're used to? Yeah, are you going to make it miserable, or are you going to think, okay, I'm going to do this because, okay, this is normal and I'm going to accept it and make myself happy? Pretty simple decision, really.
Huh.
Personally, I love masks because I don't even have to wear makeup to look femme anymore.
All right.
Why do we
Really helps
why do
a
we have
lot.
to keep staring at Harmonica Man?
Yeah, why are we looking at Randy?
Because
was
I'm
just while he was
sexy
doing
as
his
hell and
thing.
you know it, Jenny.
Pardon? I didn't hear you.
That was just while he
Except
was
sexy
doing
as
his
hell and
thing.
you know it.
I'm sorry, Harmonica, you got stepped on again.
I says because I'm sexy as hell and you damn well know it.
Oh,
That's why
well,
everybody's looking at me.
Do you know? Okay, so recently I found out something so disappointing. I have to talk about it.
Yeah,
I
Men-
love your man.
men are not sexy, so sorry, you don't qualify.
I heard something so
Aw.
disappointed. I love your mask, Perp.
yeah. I've considered putting a breathing filter into this mask and wear it around in the stores.
Here they would applaud you. They would
Hey,
quite
Purple.
literally be like, they would clap for you. So today, or maybe last night, I found out some really disappointing news, and I have to talk about it, and it's been hurting my feelings. So who remembers Right Said Fred?
Nope.
I'm too
It's
too
familiar,
sexy.
but I can't place it.
The I'm Too Sexy song.
Oh, yeah, I know that song.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this is so apparently they still perform.
I hated that song more than any other I've ever heard in my life.
I love that song because I dance in front of the mirror naked and like staring at myself, but that's for a different stream. So anyway, the whole point of bringing this up is because they're anti-maskers. I was like, what the fuck? First off, they're still performing. That song was popular in 1990 what? Like 1 or 2 or 3.
Two.
That's a long time ago, kids, you know? And so I'm shocked that these people are still famous off of one song. But you know, I'm not from their country, but they had one hit in America. But they're anti-maskers. And because of good old Twitter, I found this out. So yet another list of people that are on just the Darwin Awards. I don't even know what to call it anymore.
No, you can't put them on the Darwin Awards until they kill themselves.
True.
Right?
Well,
they flat out. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
That's not entirely accurate. There have been at least 2 people who have survived and still won Darwin Awards because they rendered themselves unable to reproduce.
Okay, I like that.
So the real criteria for a Darwin Award is just to make sure that your genes don't get in the next generation.
So true.
So if you already have a kid, you can never win a Darwin Award.
Not unless you kill the kid in the process.
Jim, some bad news for you.
So now I had that crappy song stuck in my head, and I can't believe Right Said Fred are anti-maskers. And so those are 2 dudes that love each other that are off my list. You 2 are off my list. Get out of here. I
agree with Jenny on this one because the song itself was, when it came out, it was like the epitome of pure arrogance.
Absolutely. And what about that song, How Bizarre? How Bizarre? How Bizarre? I love that song too. I love crappy one-hit wonders. I'm from that era. From like 87 till about like, well, no, we still have one-hit wonders.
I always feel bad.
Oh, yeah.
For one-hit wonders. Some of them are really. I can't speak in absolutes because I don't know anything about music technically, but some of them seem to be very talented musically, and you wonder why they didn't have anything beyond that. Like the one that I've heard called the best opening guitar riff of all time, which I think is a little exaggerated. But what's that the song's called again?
Eruption by Van Halen?
No. Spirit in the Sky.
I love that song. If I ever that and Born to Be Wild, if I'm ever on a spaceship, I'm playing both of those.
I mean, we all love that song, but do you know realize how religious it is?
Yeah, of course.
You know,
I got a friend named Jesus.
Yeah.
Of course, I still love that song.
Okay. Well, why did this person only have one hit? You know, they sound better than that they should have more than one.
I agree with you.
There's a movie called One Hit Wonder, exposing just that very thing. And the band is like, they went through hell going through all this and like, hey, we've got other songs too. And their manager is like, that's not why you're here. They want to hear that one song that made you come out and be famous to begin with. And they're like, man, nobody does this. And like, oh yeah, this is all a too familiar scene. There's so many one-hit wonders. And the band eventually split up when they were done doing their short bit of fame, and they all had to get regular jobs. And the leader of the band actually went to do a different genre and went to a jazz radio show. And one of his mentors showed him how to be a DJ doing jazz music instead of rock and roll.
Because they've passed, I can tell the story. I have a friend, I had a friend who got paid to play bass for Kelly Osbourne. He played one song on TV every day for like 3 or 4 months. And then never worked in the industry again. He played one song every day. He was all over the TV. Like, he was all over it. But, because her dad was famous and her mom had a TV show and they're multi-millionaires, I've bought into the Ozzy.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I'm horrible about names. Who is
Ozzy.
Who is the singer who did that song, Cherry Pie? She's my cherry pie.
She's my cherry pie.
He said he absolutely hated that song because he had done so many better songs and he couldn't believe that was the only one anyone remembered.
And then there's
same thing with Quiet
really
Riot.
Glad they didn't have another song like the Archies.
Oh, you're going back.
Almighty.
You know what though?
When I
But
was
then
touring with Quiet Riot, you know, they were talking about come on, feel the noise. And he's like, yeah, I sang it the worst damn thing I ever did because I hated the song. So I sang it the worst I possibly could. And they said, yay, that's what the crowd wants. And then I had to sing it for the next 20 fucking years.
You know,
after that,
for some reason, Harmonica Man, you're reminding me of I paid money to go see Axl Rose because it was not Guns N' Roses, it was Axl Rose and Buckethead and everybody else because the rest of the people were not in Guns N' Roses. It was one of the worst bloated, drunk performances I'd ever seen in my life. Axl Rose just knew that idiots like me were going to pay the money because the name Guns N' Roses was there. I went and saw them. They put on a huge show. Everybody there. Half of my town was there. It was disappointing at best. Guns N' Roses put on an
same thing with what's his name from Motley Crue, Neil. What's his name? Lead singer to Motley Crue.
Oh damn it!
You know who I'm talking about?
Vince Neil.
Anyways, Vince Neil. Yeah, once he got into his late 40s and started gaining a lot of weight and everything, and couldn't hardly breathe, his music went right downhill, and he was no longer with Motley Crue, but it was just him, and he had a shitty band. And he come to my hometown, and it's like. What the hell are you doing?
You know what? I talk about this all the time, but some of the best advice I ever got was from Bret Michaels, and it was from his TV show when he said, if you have a stalker, let them get to know you and they'll find out how much of an a-hole you are, and then they won't want to date you. And it's worked.
Yep.
It's worked. It's worked a few times.
I'll bet that does work, because if somebody's obsessed with you, they're going to have a romanticized image that's nothing like a real person.
Exactly. And you know what? He's insane.
Yeah, it does.
Jeans, but his advice works. There's been at least 2 women that I've been like, oh, you're stalking me? Okay, this is who I really am. You still want to hang out? You still... Oh.
Yeah, I've had stalkers too. I know exactly what you're talking about.
But recently,
I've had stalkers that followed me from state to state. Wasn't groupies or anything. Literally girls sitting in the parking lot when I went in to get some, Kogel's hot dogs for the guys, and it's like, hey, there she is again, right there across parking lot in that beat up old Plymouth, and it's like, how the hell? And then we asked the bus driver. He's like, yeah, man, she's been following us for like 500 miles. And I'm like, what's that bitch's problem?
I've recently,
Holy crap.
Drift Away by Dobby Grave. See, that's what I'm saying. There's so many songs that I haven't heard of. Now I have Foreigner. Now I just have Foreigner stuck in my head. In my life.
I don't know a whole lot about music.
I would obsessively watch MTV when I was a kid. And then if a band came to my town, I would beg my parents to go see it. When I was a kid, my parents knew nothing about metal, and I asked my mom at 12 years old. I was like, "Can I go see Slayer?" And my dad dropped off my cousin and I, and we were little kids, and we wandered around the forum, and we went and saw Slayer. That was the first time I ever saw a human being get punched in the face. I was 12 years old. It was awesome. Well, at a show.
I think MTV ended pretty much, or was right on the cusp of a major decline, right as soon as they had Blind Lemon playing, with the girl with the bumblebee costume on.
That is one of the greatest songs. That is one of the greatest songs. of all time. Do you know that they all had hardcore heroin problems and the lead singer died? And that was their one hit. That was like the definition of
Yep.
one hit wonder. I still have that album.
I didn't
Blind
like
Melon.
it though. At the time, I liked a little bit harder, like 80s metal stuff. I was used to that shit. And then all of a sudden it turned into Blind Lemon, and I'm like, what's next? Cerebral palsy kumquats?
Well, it's because everybody was on heroin. And that's what so when I was younger, I was really into this band called Faith No More. And they were metal, but they played like a synthesizer. They'd play bagpipes. They'd play anything. Faith No More was amazing. And they were rock and roll. And then this guy named Kurt Cobain showed up and changed music. And so the whole Seattle sound took over. And it was no longer like hair bands. It was no longer metal bands. It was about being heroin. It was about being on heroin. And so if you were heroin chic, if you looked, if you had a certain look, if you had long hairs and looked like the hippie Jesus, they'd give you a record deal, And so that music took over. I was biased too. I like a lot of that stuff, but like I was biased because I love more harder rock. But like Faith No More.
But it changes.
Heck yeah, Dark Fearsome. Heck yeah. Faith No More, that's like, I still listen to Faith No More because they're just mellow. I had to stop listening to Slayer in the car because I got a couple tickets.
It's kind of funny. Tomorrow I'm on The Gray Man. I don't know if you guys know The Gray Man over in the UK. His show. He did a beer tasting today with his buddy Elric, but he's got like a heavy metal show, and he's got about 6 or 7 bands on there talking about stuff. And he's like, man, we all miss you on there. You need to come in and, play harmonica and do dirty jokes and shit. Like, all right, I'll show up. You guys are hardcore, grizzly bears swallowed the microphone kind of bands, but okay, I'll show up and do what I can.
I'm into all different kinds of music. It just depends on the mood. Like I still listen to classical. Because of my Peggy Hill Spanish, I listen to Spanish music. I love all kinds of different. I love mariachi
good
music.
one.
I love mariachi music. I will fight somebody over some. The day I find an accordion that isn't $500, I will buy one. But I'm into music in general. I grew up, like I told you, Randy. I grew up on hillbilly music.
Yep.
Like,
I have a recurring nightmare of Russia invading Scotland. Accordions versus bagpipes.
Oh, that would be awful. That's like, so there's a running joke around banjo players, like what's worse, cat and heat or a banjo, and everybody's like, oh, we can't tell the difference.
I'm still reeling about this dream. What would it be called? Battle of the Bellows?
Okay, never mind.
What's that, Jenny?
I was just saying that I think banjos are spectacular.
I love
and the amount of talent it takes to play one is very impressive.
Again, if it's played well, but the problem is that there are so many thousands of people who believe they can play a banjo who have never taken a lesson in their life.
So there's a school of thought on that. I knew one individual that picked up a banjo, and I was like, wow, that's so beautiful. I want to cry. I knew another individual that picked up a banjo, and I was like, are you sure you're not tone deaf? So banjos scream. I have a 6-string and I have a 4-string, and they yell. Those banjo heads are loud.
I think they're a very cool looking instrument.
I love my banjo. I absolutely love it.
And it's amazing. It's amazing how you can build your own out of garbage, all the way up to the ones that are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars and sophisticated as all hell.
Yeah, and I have literally heard people playing a literal cigar box banjo.
Yeah,
that could make it sound beautiful.
If they know how to play, it's great. You know?
So I have 3 cigar boxes down here, and that's on my never-ending list of shit that I have to do.
Oh well, there's YouTube. There's YouTube videos how to do it.
Like yeah.
Justin Johnson. Go to his channel. He's just absolutely phenomenal.
I wish I had
all kinds of stuff like that.
Okay. Can we give a moment of appreciation to Robert X? Not only is he a Patreon subscriber, but always here shilling out our links for everyone.
Thank you so much, honestly.
Thank you. Yes.
Jenny, your mic seems low.
I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because it's not in front of my face.
Oh.
like it
Oh,
usually
okay.
is.
Oh, that Jenny.
I'm a yeller.
because
we got to figure out. We got to
as-
figure out name separation here.
Okay, so how about I'm Jen? Jenny is Jenny.
That's fine by me.
Yeah, because like the short version of Genesis isn't Jenny. It's just Jen.
Of course.
As a human being, I followed everyone else's lead. I know that's a lemming ass answer.
Today my name is a little different, but you know, it's just
because the dog says I'm nuts doesn't mean I am.
Yeah, we had a rather intense session today.
I just finished packing a glass cigar.
Awesome.
Yeah, so
Oh,
I
wow.
might smoke this. and
What?
go to
That's
sleep.
cool.
What's a glass cigar?
It's a glass cigar. They're also called glass blunts. Got it full of. My mom got this for free because she spent a bunch of money at the dispensary. So you know.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and she doesn't like the stuff that you have to grind yourself. So
Oh, that's awesome.
it's all mine.
Oh, that's extra awesome. I spend a lot of money at the dispensary, so they always give me free stuff. I think they just like watching me jump around like a kid when they give me free stuff. 'Cause I'm like, oh, thank you so much.
I'm probably gonna head off because I've had a really long day, but
Yeah.
it's been fun talking to you guys.
I'm
Yeah.
glad you came in for a while.
Before I go, Nat One Heroes, watch it. I'm gonna quick show this. Just watch Nat One Heroes. It's cool. I play an Australian num. Come on, that's cool, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, goodbye.
By all means, drop a link in the side chat if you want.
No.
Go subscribe. I'm subscribed. Go subscribe.
Did you say an Australian nun?
No.
Gnome.
Oh.
But I am a cleric, so I'm a priest. Actually, I'm a cult leader, so I'm more like Ken Ham. Bad joke.
Oh.
Okay, goodbye.
we should rename him from Ken Ham to Ken Spam.
Hey, Spam's
Yeah,
awesome.
Jenny, I've got a suggestion for you that I've always wanted to try, but I haven't found the right situation.
Okay.
If your psychiatrist is annoying you, go into your next session and try and convince them that they're just part of your delusion.
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
I coined a new one for her today. I was saying that people who are truly blissful, you know, generally have no clue how bad things really are. And I finally redefined it, and I said, think of them as the Dunning-Kruger or the bliss of Dunning-Kruger. That they're so blissful they don't know how unblissful they should be.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Oh,
That makes
and
sense.
just to let people know, this is Sloth Girl's son,
Awesome.
Vampiric Viking. Although
hi.
that's actually his secret identity. his superhero identity is Extra Man
I like
because he has the power to be redundant and unnecessary.
I also
Oh,
found out
boy.
now that I've started cardio rehab that my resting blood pressure is 92/60.
Wow.
Yeah, that's like really low. I mean, it's not unhealthy low, but for a big old fat person heart patient, that's amazingly low.
Wow.
And when I
Lord
got on
mine.
the screen and I was busting my ass sweating, it only got up to what was it? It was 130. I can't remember what was over. I think it was like 92, 94, something like that.
Yeah, I would have
When was
thought
your surgery?
with it going under 100, I thought they'd start to get concerned about you having dizzy spells or that.
Yeah, no, I got none of that.
I used to have irregular high blood pressure, and I changed a few things in my life, but it was more because of my age and my stress level than anything else, and because of my asthma. But I changed a few things in my life.
Randy, I had bypass back in 08, but I could never afford cardio rehab because I didn't have any insurance.
Oh, yeah, me too.
And
Yep, I had
that,
mine in 2018, like in January 2018. So it's just only been a few years.
I found out that Medicare would cover it, and my portion of it would be $5.
That's another bullshit thing is how many insurances won't pay for rehab.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's because you're gonna get better. They want you to be sick. They want you to be perpetually sick on pills.
Well, no, actually, the insurance company doesn't want you to be sick because then they wind up putting out money. They'd rather you were paying into the plan all the time and never using it.
Yeah.
The problem is they don't do their portion of it and they screw themselves over because you're still going to be more sick because they won't do the thing that it needs for you to be healthy.
Right.
To begin with.
I don't get why the insurance companies haven't figured out.
Investment.
Yeah. Why the insurance companies haven't figured out that if they allow preventative care and they allow everybody to see the doctor when they need to, that they won't wind up paying for bigger stuff later on.
Or like waiting for somebody like the orange orangutan to come into office. So I paid for my health insurance and still was dropped from it because I have a pre-existing condition. And they waited for basically to where somebody was in charge where they wouldn't do anything about it. It's really sad.
There's Aaron says the marmalade Mussolini.
It's so unfair. Virtually everybody has something that could be considered a pre-existing condition. I've heard of people being bounced from their insurance because they had acne as a teenager.
Okay, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because I'll tell you why. Because real acne care costs hundreds of thousands of dollars by today's standards. So if you're getting the real, like dermatologist, heavy cream stuff, if you're taking drugs like Accutane, if you're taking there's a whole world behind acne.
But we're talking about a person who doesn't have an acne issue anymore. They had it when they were a teenager, and obviously it wasn't that bad because it doesn't continue into their adulthood, and they weren't getting treated for anything having to do with acne.
But my whole point is
for a back issue.
My whole point is that you get kicked for pre-existing conditions, and they hold everything against you at all times.
Yeah,
and that's what happened to me. Because that's what happened to me, and because of my asthma, I will always cost more money than I'll put in. So I will always cost my insurance more money than I'll ever put into it.
The reason I didn't have insurance when I was when I had my heart attack was because they bounced me because of the back condition, and I hadn't even made a claim on this insurance company that I was just a policy holder for like a year, and I suddenly get this letter from them that says you're out of here because you had a back injury.
Yep.
And then a couple months later, I had a heart attack.
Oh wow. You see that they should be blamed for that.
Wow.
And can I just say, Sloth Girl, I need your jokes today. I ran over one of the 7 dwarfs. He went happy. I need those today.
I'm too drunk. I can't remember half the jokes that I wanted to say tonight.
It's okay. You know what? One of the one of the reasons I love coming on Purple's show is because we just hang out and have a good time. It's not about anything too heavy, you know.
Yeah.
I enjoy this. I enjoy just shooting the shit and having a good time and talking about life, rather than
You know,
Yeah.
I got a point. When we were on B's channel, a few days ago, I made a joke, about dick pics and shit, how I wasn't going to take one. And I made a joke, and she's like, "Yeah, that's over the line." And and after that, I got to thinking, well, shit, I've heard about everybody else's genitals in great detail, including the historicity about how they got that way. I don't have any idea why the hell I was over the line, and I'm still hearing shit 10 times worse than what I said.
You never know
So
someone's
I'm just kind of
tolerant.
confused about that point.
You never know.
And
You know
I
what?
think all it was just it was an image. That's all it was an image. I said something,
I
and
think I
then it
know what
looked
you were
like,
talking about. I actually
Yeah.
remember that conversation because I was a piercer in Hollywood, and I remember talking about how every time somebody would come in to get their boobs or get a nipple piercing, I should say, they would yell. They would scream. There was only one woman who didn't scream out of everybody that I ever pierced their nipples.
I think it was
I don't
Tons
know.
of Mice who said something.
Randy,
Go ahead,
there's
Jenny.
a difference between somebody in a setting like this talking about a penis or their penis or describing it or making a joke about it, and getting a random dick pic in your inbox.
I do take offense. I won't even lie. I get so many now. I'm offended at it almost. Keep sending them because I'm going to make a collage. And it's funny, but I was like, why are these people doing it? Why?
Hey, you should do one of those. You've seen those pictures where they take all these different photographs that all have the same topic, but they all come from different sources, and they have different tones to them, and they put them together in a mosaic to make a bigger picture.
I was thinking about that too. Those are actually awesome.
Yeah.
I actually like those. I actually like those.
Do one and
Yeah.
just make a giant penis out of all these little penises.
I'm gonna make one that says you're all 4 inchers. I seem to attract the same kind of person. Or it's maybe the same person just sending me thousands of pictures. I don't know anymore. I believe, I'm probably Jenny. Do you have a sock account?
No.
Purple. Do you have a sock account?
Yeah, I've got 700 sock accounts. That's how a lot of people have gotten their first 1,000 subscribers.
Randy, do you have an alternative YouTube channel besides the one that you have, or Twitter?
Just these 2 channels, Harmonica Man and Shedding Mysticism. But I do have Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, and Instagram.
Oh, okay. That joke. What's the difference between in-laws and outlaws? Outlaws are wanted. Sloth Girl, I need you in my life right now. That was hilarious.
Oh, hey, you guys, you know what happened to me today? I got a hug.
Yay.
All
Whoa.
out, wrapped your arms around each other and hug and squeeze today
Cool.
for one of the volunteers at the hospital.
Awesome.
Awesome.
A really sweet kid. His name is Andrew. It's amazing. I go to the hospital a lot. I was there 4 days this week so far, and next week I'll be there 3 different days, and my life's turned into a hospital patient. And this kid remembered my name after the first time I saw him, and he's just a volunteer. He just pushes people around in their wheelchairs, and he actually took the
Very
time
nice.
to remember my name, and you know, he remembers what you tell him about yourself and your case and your medical history and stuff, you know, the chit chat that you do, and he remembers it, and he actually fucking cares, and it was just amazing. And so I got a big hug from Andrew today. I think he's maybe 23, 24, something like that.
That's
Well, it
cool.
makes you feel good. Human contact after a couple
really
of years
did.
of
It
not.
made my day.
And Will walked away and is missing the good jokes.
And he spells it really funny, Andreaux, something like that. Andrew.
Oh, so French.
Yeah. That was nice. The first hug in over a year. God.
Yeah, I miss those. I wish I had one too.
Sorry, I'm sitting here fantasizing about the cornbread I made, so I might as well go get it.
Ooh.
Yeah, you got to catch up on the side chat. You missed a couple of good jokes.
Oh, I'm going to make some cornbread tomorrow. You just did it to me.
Hey, Andrew.
Okay, folks, I'm gonna call it a night. Here it is 2 a.m. a little after. So I'm spent.
Okay.
I got up at 3 o'clock and started doing streams.
Have a great night.
Take care, Andy.
I will.
Rest well.
Sleep in. Bye, everyone.
See you later.
So how many people we got in chat right now?
14.
14.
Yeah. We apparently have gotten some new regulars because it's 12 to 15 has been pretty consistent the last few weeks.
That's awesome.
Is it okay with you, Perv, if I bring up my thing?
Oh yeah, if you got something you want to share, put it up.
All right. Hi, chat people. I'm going to be doing something I never thought I would do. I'm going to be more explicit than I was in the last stream, Perv. So this will take a little bit. I'm and Purple can tell you I'm not somebody who's really comfortable with taking charity and stuff like that. I've always been the person who helped other people and not the person who got help. You know, back in the days when I was young and the shop was vital and energetic, the shop always gave money to public television, to the food banks, and you know, all the things that really matter in life. And I personally would do the same with that. And you know, I've always been the kind of person who would do goofy things like pay for the person behind me in the drive-through for their meal. You know, pay people's toll, you know, that kind of thing. Anyways, I've always got a kick out of doing that kind of stuff. And so being on the other end of it, now that I've turned into this annoyingly poor person, it's just tough. I've kind of made a decision in life. You know, I know I'm 66 and I'm not going to be around much longer. But I just have this need to accomplish something in my life that I've always wanted, but I could never ever afford. And that is to have some facial surgery. In the land of transgender people, it's called FFS, and it's not for fuck's sake. It's facial feminization surgery, and it's called that because it's kind of a package of things that they do that help to undo the damage that happens when somebody goes through male puberty and some of the changes that happen in bone structure and musculature and these kinds of things. And for some people, the difference is absolutely incredible. It doesn't work this way for all people, but a lot of times if you take a picture of yours and you run it through Face app, that's real similar to the change that one will experience doing it. So I've decided I'm going to go ahead and do everything I possibly can to get the money necessary to go ahead and to have this surgery. It's probably going to take a couple of years to get the money together if I'm going to be successful at all. And I haven't gotten an official estimate, but from other people I've talked to, it's going to run $20,000 to $30,000. But I really, really want to do it. And I'm going to be putting together a GoFundMe in the very near future after I write all the discussions that people want to see in an appeal such as this. And I've been working on it, proofreading and redoing sections and stuff. But I'm just letting you guys know ahead of time that this is going to be happening pretty soon. And if you're so driven, I would really appreciate your help. And I want very, 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 very clear that I don't expect anyone to contribute a single penny. And I even expect that there's people who are going to say that I have no right to do this because it's just cosmetic. Yeah. But you got to know that for transgender people, it's much, much, much more than a cosmetic procedure. Cosmetic procedures are to make people cute or to take years off their age and tie knots in their flesh behind their head, like all these Hollywood people. But for a transgender person, you heard me say before, it undoes some of the damage that was done to you.
Yeah.
And that's what going through the wrong puberty is like. It's physically damaging to you.
It's about trying to get other people to see you the way you've always seen yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I can personally attest there's been a number of times that Jenni has said that, she's been having trouble getting through or car repairs or whatever, that she has refused to take our money.
Well, whatever.
You got to stop giving yourself a hard time.
No, so I'm just saying that, yeah, if you're actually asking people for help, this is something that's really important.
Well, it's important to us, and that's one of the reasons that we are all fighting. All of us transgender elders and stuff. I've been in this transgender business. You don't think it's going to become your whole fucking life when you go through it, but it does. It's turned into a goddamn career, and I've been fighting this battle for 42 years now, and the battle has not ended. And in fact, it's gotten even worse with all the horrible, horrible things that these goddamn right-wingers want to do to transgender children. They want to put parents in jail for getting their children treatment. They want to put doctors in jail for giving people treatment. Society's gotten so completely fucked up. It's tragic, and all any of us are asking is to just live our lives and leave us alone. Just let us live our lives.
Well, and the people passing this stuff, I don't think even really care. They just want to have some visible enemy to try and rally their supporters.
This is 100% political.
Yeah, they're
And
just
it's
trying to
about-
find a scapegoat.
Well, it's also about hatred.
Yeah.
This is anything that's against the old ways.
Yeah, well,
You know, let's be real. This comes what? Who is this coming from? This is coming from evangelical states, places where Christianity has taken a foothold in the entire society, and now those people have say.
Well, they're finding they can no longer rationalize their bigotry against people based on skin color, so they're trying to find another way to do it.
Exactly. It's just a new group of people to hate.
They're also trying to undo the things that we've gained. They're going after they want a constitutional amendment to end gay marriage. Okay, they want to undo that. If they have to do it on a state level, they will. If they have to do it as an amendment, they will. But it's one of their goals. They're not stopping with just us. They're going to keep this up. As far as my plan and how things are going to develop, we're going to see what we can do about getting Medicare to cover this expense. We're going to try to plead the case that this is not cosmetic, that this is medically necessary. That argument has won for other people with other insurance companies and things. I don't know of any history with people succeeding with Medicare, but we're going to give it a try. And if it turns out to be successful, then all this money will get donated to the transgender cause, transgender issues, whether it's donating to the suicide hotline for transgender people, to some of the agencies that are fighting for the children. But it'll go to good use, whatever happens.
Well, Minnesota Medicare is better than most states on a lot of things. I don't really know how they're on transgender stuff.
They're excellent.
But yeah, I think if you have a psychiatrist, backing you up on this, that there's a decent chance they'll pay for some of it. They're certainly not going to pay for all of it. So you're still going to need some donations.
I should revisit. I don't know what Minnesota Medicare is like. This was Minnesota Medicaid. I was on that.
Sorry, I meant Medicaid. I was
for a short period of time, and it's one of the best programs in the country. They really take good care of people in Minnesota. So that's my talk for today, folks, and I apologize for.
You should never apologize for being yourself. I'm gonna shut my channel down and start reading history because young black kids don't know their history anymore. I got scared last Tuesday. I'm gonna shut my whole channel down and just start reading history books. So don't feel bad.
No, read them and get on the air and interpret them and make them understand that history is not events. History is going through and talking about the lives of people who've had to make some very difficult decisions, and as a result form the world into the way it is now.
That's way better than my idea. I was gonna find him and hit him over the head with the biggest book I could find.
I mean, really,
That's
one of
way
them
better than my
sometimes,
idea.
yeah, sometimes that feels better though. I'm just saying, there's reasons I play video games online.
There's a reason why I don't debate people.
I don't debate people for a different reason, but yeah, it's.
I'm old school, so I believe in just because I said so. And then walking away.
Oh my gosh, that was Mom's rule. Mom was like, her whole spiel was like, because I'm Mom. That was her whole deal.
Yeah,
But
Doorknob
why?
had
Because I'm Mom.
Doorknob had this saying, it's so weird thinking how terrible people were to others in the Dark Ages, and it turns out these people are still here.
Yeah, exactly. See,
Yeah,
I think that's what threw me for a loop. I think that's what punched me. Like, I want to rewind to that moment where I said my little spiel, and that guy was like, I don't agree with you. all three of us at the same time made the what face? Like, it's
Well-
almost like a Betamax. Like, they still make you? What is wrong with you?
This
Ugh.
this is actually using faggot to refer to homosexuals
Mm-hmm.
was that when they did the witch burnings, in England, a fag is a small bundle of kindling to start a fire. And when they did the witch burnings, they wanted to make sure it was hot enough to kill instantly so a witch couldn't utter a curse. So they tested it by throwing sexual deviance on the fire first.
Is that where Flamer came from?
Could be, I'm not sure of that one.
Because that was an insult in my day.
No, the expression "flaming this or that" was around for a long time in our language.
That was a major insult in my day if you called someone a flamer.
Yeah.
Okay, one last joke from Sloth Girl. She's got to babysit tomorrow, so she's heading to bed.
Thank you, Sloth Girl. Thank you. It's been
Okay, good night.
Absolutely.
There's another joke. I don't know how well it's going to go as a verbal joke. I think it's one of those that probably should be written down. But it goes like this: a priest, a pastor, and a rabbit walked into a bar, and the bartender said, "Is this a spelling mistake?"
Oh no! I got the joke. Terrible.
All right, it's a bad joke, but I always thought it was funny. One Saturday, the devil walks into a synagogue. Everybody runs out. People are, they're running out. They're screaming and saying, "Oh my God, it's Satan." Except for one old rabbi who's sitting there, didn't move, kept on reading. Devil walks up to the rabbi and says, "Aren't you scared?" He says, "I'm not scared of you. I've been married to your sister for 55 years.
Ow. Ow. Ow.
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't get it.
He wasn't scared of the devil because he considered his wife the devil.
Oh.
He said, "I've been married to your sister for 55 years. That's a bad joke.
And this, folks, is why my airways ass is single.
See, Dordon Pet brings up a good point. That's why I Googled that whole thing about Mike Wallace and Martin Luther King in 1962, because a lot of what this person was saying was the same thing that Mike Wallace was saying. Like, "Oh, don't you think it's time to move on? Don't you no, we're still fighting the same fight." Literally. So, yeah. And that joke I told earlier was a Chris Rock joke. I totally stole a Chris Rock joke.
Well, if I'm successful in the fundraising and I'm ultimately able to get surgery, I'm hoping that the ultimate end result is that I get a date. Be nice to have one of those too.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and there's no reason you shouldn't do everything you can to try and make, however many years you have, as comfortable and happy as you can.
Absolutely. That is my motto. I knew someone that lived a long life, and I swear they lived longer because they didn't care what other people thought about them.
Well, and it's something that I was thinking about a lot myself, when coming out as trans, is that, yeah, at this point in my life, is it really worth it? And how much does it matter? And it's like, yeah, I don't know how many years I've got left, but this has been put off for so long, and it has hurt a lot.
That's what I'm saying.
There isn't any reason for me not to try and fix it now.
Damn right. Always have to be yourself. That is my motto. Be yourself for those who can't. Because there's a lot of people who will never admit who they are. They spend their whole life taking out their self-hatred and anger on everyone they come across.
Yeah. Well, and the more of us who can be out and open about it, the easier it will be for people who are in the closet.
So true.
And some people are because they're scared. And, some people feel, and, rightfully so, that they could lose their friends and their family and their career and whatever. so they can't be out. But the more people that can be out, the more we can push society in that direction.
I think that's I struggle with that too, because I've been out for 20-something years, almost 22 if I really think about it. So it's I get arrogant sometimes, where I'm like, why don't you just do this or this? But not everybody's in the same situation as myself, so I have to remind myself sometimes.
Well, and also certain parts of the queer community are further along in things than others.
So true.
Asexuality and aromanticism both are in their baby steps of people understanding and accepting us. Like, we're good 10 to 20 years behind everybody else. I'm still mad that when I went to go get and ask for help as an ace, I'm still mad that they treated me like I had a mental disorder, and that didn't change until 7 years ago.
Yeah.
It's happening more and more and more with fear and the propaganda. So anything that's under the LGBTQIA plus umbrella is it's fought against.
Yep.
People
Doorknob is asking if I picked a name yet, and I have eliminated a couple hundred, but I still haven't found one that really works. Although I was kind of expecting this would be a process that would take me a few months, so I'm still open to suggestions if anyone wants to DM ideas.
I suggested Boopsy. I don't know why you didn't like that.
Boopsy sounds like a 1920s showgirl. Can't say stripper. I don't think they had strippers back then. Well, they probably did.
Boop boop be doop.
Well, Sloth Girl was saying I should go by Jenny. I should change my name to Jenny s05e.
Yeah, can't have too many of them.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you a family secret. In my family, I think it's the most annoying thing, and I'm so glad I didn't do it to my son. There are 7 people named after my father in my family. I think it's so annoying that these people do not have their own names.
Yeah. Well,
so to have your own name and be independent from other people is a good thing.
My dad was a junior to his father, and when my grandpa finally died, my dad was just absolutely relieved because he was able to drop the junior from there on, and then because he was able to take on his regular name, which was Ed, he didn't have to put up being called by this nickname that he's hated all his life, which was Corky.
Oh, yikes. Yeah,
and nobody ever knew. Nobody had any clue that he hated that name, but he said he absolutely despised it.
Oh, that's funny.
Jared, do you know a Boopsy? I'm sorry. I mean, I know boop, 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 boop.
Yeah, one of the things has always bugged me is, the whole junior thing about a man that's like in his 40s or 50s and still being called junior.
So when I turned okay, let's back up a little bit. My official name has 4 names and third at the end. When I became 18, I legally had the third removed. Didn't ask, wouldn't even I got that taken off so fast, it's not even funny. I thought it was the dumbest thing.
I probably would change my last name to third and drop the rest of it.
But I will tell you, I got out of a ticket once because I was like, that's not my last name. And the cop was like, oh, it's not. You don't have to do the ticket. And I remember saying in the Hollywood courthouse, I said, that worked? And the cop was like, yep, it worked. But because the officer didn't write down my legal name, like that was not my last name. That was my title, but it wasn't my last name. And so because of some California weird legalese stipulation, I got out of a ticket.
And now we know the origin of sovereign citizens.
Yeah, they're just trying to get out of tickets.
I mean, aren't we all trying to get out of shit? I mean, I can't blame them. It's just the way they go about it is so fucking annoying.
I wasn't even trying to weasel out that day. I just talked myself I talked my way into it. And I was like, oh, go ahead, Bert.
I have found a way to get out of traffic tickets that works more than 90% of the time. If you be polite to the cops, it throws them off so badly that most of the time they'll just give me a warning and send me home.
I treat them
because they're expecting a conflict. So if you just roll down your window, and he says, "Do you know why I stopped you?" And I said, "No, officer." Just be respectful and polite. And
So
it's like when they don't get a conflict, they're like, "Oh God."
No, same. I drive like an idiot. So when I get pulled over, I know most of the time it's because I drive like an idiot. I speed. When I get pulled over, I hand them my license and I'm like, I'm an idiot. Give me a ticket. I've actually gotten out of a ticket saying that, like, hey, I know I'm in the wrong.
I do the polite kindness, very respectful, even if they're like 10 years old. Which else you do these days. And then I cry. And it's
So you reminded me of, there was this young African-American man who is a motorcycle cop in this town. And he's probably 5'5". And I am not docking anyone who's short, okay? But when he puts on his motorcycle helmet, he looks like he's in Spaceballs. Because he's little and the helmet's huge. And so he in my truck, my son sometimes would sit in the middle. It's just an autism thing. He would always sit in the same seat he always sat in. And he pulled up next to me and he pulled me over, and he admitted to me the only reason he pulled me over is because he couldn't look in my truck. And he came up to my truck and he's like, "Oh, I just wanted to see if your kid had a seatbelt on," and he left. But he was too short to look in my truck. Oh, it was awesome. Oh, but I see him all the time and he's little. Oh, poor guy. He's just doing a job. But you know what? He's not an a-hole. So I give him respect. But poor guy. Is everyone just listening to my crickets now or what?
No, but I was noticing my crickets gone.
No, I just had my mouth full.
I know. I'm just being.
I didn't have anything to add.
Yep.
My crickets are going insane tonight. It's the weather change. It was hot, and then now it's cold. It's really cool and nice now.
I love this time.
I thought we're supposed to slow down when it's colder.
I live in California. Everything's backwards. You thought Australia was messed up? Our bugs have lawyers.
California bizarro world.
In the creek, the property at my job, we are no longer allowed to almost even walk in the creek because of species I've never heard of, and we don't even have water over there. I had an argument with an inspector, and they were like, "I don't care. Follow the rules."
Actually, that may be valid, because if they're protecting species, it's not going to be just the water. It's going to be, did they bury their eggs in the mud?
True, but we don't have any water to the point where we don't have rattlesnakes anymore. We really don't have bunnies anymore. All the wildlife has kind of moved on because the water table is just gone.
We're having a drought here right now.
Yep.
Most of the wetlands around here have dried up and are just dirt. And the water plants that normally would be starting to come up now just aren't. They're not even trying to grow.
Well, and I knew that was going to be a big problem this spring, just because we only got about a third the snowfall that we should normally get for this area.
And then you see what the native atheist is saying. Last night, hail was so bad here, the Walmart skyline busted. You see what I'm saying? The weather has just completely flipped on its tail. because we've had, it's been windy every day, and then today it decided to be 90 something out of the blue. Completely out of the blue.
Well, we've been bouncing back and forth that we keep getting up into the 80s, but then about one night a week we're getting snow.
That's crazy.
Well, and for Minnesota to do that once in a while isn't out of the norm, but for us to have been doing it every week for the last month, that's strange.
That's what I'm saying. So whoever is controlling the weather, you're drunk.
They were getting snow up in northern Wisconsin, upper Michigan over this week a few times. I don't know how much they got, but virtually every day they're showing snow coming down. That's pretty weird. I mean, for May.
Yeah, well, over the weekend, I think it was that, we actually got enough snow that it was covering the grass until it turned to rain.
Is that abnormal for this time of year?
It wouldn't have been abnormal for the snow cover to have stayed this long.
Mm-hmm.
But for it to have all gone away and then getting it covered again was kind of strange.
We had in Milwaukee, oh gosh, I just can't remember what year it was.
But I mean, for the area I'm in, they say the normal snowfall, it should be close to 4 feet.
Okay.
This year we got 16 inches.
Really, that bad?
Yeah. So literally it was about a third what would be considered normal.
Yeah, that's actually bad.
I was going to say in Milwaukee, we got one significant snowstorm. It was like 4 to 6 inches, depending where you were, on May 8th. 1 year.
Let's see how much rainfall was in California last year or this year. Probably some embarrassing.
We did not get our average this year for snow either. I don't remember how short we were. But
well, Minnesota only has 2 months, July and August, that have never recorded snowfall. And only has 2 months, December and January, that have not recorded a tornado. And back in, I think it was 1987, I actually did see a tornado in a blizzard.
We've only had 14.93 inches of rain this year.
That's not much.
No, that's why we're constantly in a drought. And when companies come and steal our water, it literally put us out. It put us out. There's nothing we can do.
California's been in a drought for how many years now?
I lost count. It's really funny that you would say that. We have it's still in effect, but people don't respect it anymore because we're like 4 or 5 years into it. We have certain days where we're not allowed to water our lawn, where we have to use less water. So basically it's every other day that you're not supposed to be running your washer or your dryer or your dishwasher at the same time. So we are still under those laws. Just no one cares anymore because it's been so long.
There was a news story around here in the last day or two about you guys and how the beautiful springtime flowers that bloom in some of the California meadows and foothills areas, the masses of purples and yellows.
Mm-hmm.
Are sprouting again, except they're in what used to be lake beds.
Yeah, because we have no water.
Yeah.
We have absolutely no water here.
It's scary shit.
Yeah, and people don't realize if we don't have drinking water, our society goes down. If we don't have functioning water, our society goes down.
Well, see,
well, and it's not just California, but it's all the states downriver from you too.
Oh yeah.
Phoenix, Arizona should not exist.
They have their nuclear power plant helps us out.
Yeah, but Phoenix, Arizona only exists because the Army Corps of Engineers have routed enough water down there.
The
funny.
Colorado River is used by so many different states. It so many places. If you're using water as the criteria, there's a whole bunch of places that shouldn't exist, including most of Los Angeles.
Yep.
With the Colorado River has been stolen from so much that it no longer finishes as a river out to the sea. It stops and just becomes a dry spot.
Yeah, well, and all that is supposed to be replenished each year by the snow in the California mountains.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're not getting the snow up in the mountains, the river level's always low, and that's why they've had the years and years of drought.
Mm-hmm.
There's an
Yeah.
aquifer that extends from the Dakotas down to Texas, and pretty much covers all the plain states, and it has gotten deeper and deeper. You've had to drill deeper and deeper each year to tap it, and I guess it's to the point now where it's like 125 or 150 feet down, where it used to be like 8 feet, 10 feet,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And when that's gone, the entire plains states are going to dry up. They have nothing else. And they're going to start wanting to steal from the Great Lakes because we're so close. And the Great Lakes states are not going to stand for that. And
Well,
Canada,
even the Great Lakes, their levels have been dropping over the last 2 decades.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, we've got.
So in conclusion, we're all screwed. Live for today and be nice to people. I'm kidding.
But what if I want to use books to smack people upside the head because they deserve it?
Then I recommend the Schofield Reference Bible. It weighs about 50 pounds.
Sweet, thanks for the tip.
I'm really concerned about Asia right now. India, Pakistan, Bangladesh.
Yeah.
You know, maybe not so much Suriname or sorry, I'm having brain fade here. Myanmar and those sorts of places. But this pandemic, I mean, they're having 250,000 new cases a day. And they're good. I think they've already passed the death toll from America, that they're already past 500,000 deaths. And it's just, they're short of vaccine. And even though the United States and others are sending them raw DIY kits to make your own, plus other, completed, ready to go vaccines, that there's going to be a big tragedy. I heard one guy said that India could lose a third of its population.
It's happening right now because of how many people live there. It's happening right now. The one thing that China has a bigger population, but they have control over their people. And so when they told people, hey, you do this here now, people, they hunkered down and listened. It's a little bit different in India, and it spread so fast there was no way to stop it. At least in the rate from which I've seen just over the past 2 weeks, because they've only been talking about it for 2 or 3 weeks. Imagine how many people died before that.
What I'm pulling up here is saying that India has had 18.4 million reported cases and 205,000 deaths.
That's a lot of people.
That's also the reported ones. I don't think the reporting there is as good as it is here.
Well, also, I mean, even if they were trying to be accurate, with that many deaths that fast, it is impossible to be entirely accurate.
Absolutely.
There's just no way to keep up with it.
Oh, yeah, they're showing, they showed this film today of this large expanse. I don't know, it looked like maybe a half an acre or so that had just all these funeral pyres going, where they were cremating people, like 100 or so at a time, in one area.
I saw that.
And it just keeps coming. They say they just keep coming. It's, I'm really scared, and it's going to be the lower caste people who are going to be the victims.
It's the same here. Same thing here in LA. It's all the first it was homeless people. Now it's the lower socioeconomic people who can't afford healthcare are dying.
Well, and it is one of the things they've been saying, that the U.S. is doing so well with the vaccinations, but in part of that has been that it has been the richest countries that have gotten most of the vaccine, and that the poor countries are pretty much being left out of it still.
And that's another thing that we take for granted here. We have a massive infrastructure. For as much as I bitch and cry about how it's completely fallen apart, we still have a massive infrastructure in this country. Pipelines of people who it is their job to help us, And it's not necessarily like that in other countries. I don't want to harp on India too much because it's just a great country and great people.
Well, one of the other problems with India is there's a lot of places that are highly suspicious of government and stuff like it, just like here.
Just same in LA.
And they've refused vaccines for a long time, that they would never. In fact, it was cited as the one region of the world that is causing the Earth to not be able to rid itself of the polio vaccine.
Okay, but I want you to think of history, of just recent history. Just think back to what we considered India, which is now Pakistan and Bengal. It was split up by the UK.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be 10 times bigger than what we consider. It was literally carved in 3 pieces. They have no reason to trust what we consider the West at all. Look at Iran. For as much as we bitch and cry about Iran, when the revolution started because they found out that their country was being ran by us and Israel, they hate us. They will forever. They will never trust us. We did that. We're the reason why
there
Iran.
Has to be a different approach for people who have been harmed in the name of bigotry versus people who just don't accept science. Because even though the end result is kind of the same in a lot of respects, at the same time, I completely understand where some people are coming from with their mistrust.
Yeah.
Because they've been used as guinea pigs in the past, or
they have good reasons not to trust the government.
They came in to help, but they actually did more harm than good. Or people were just like, "Fuck you, you're lesser. Let's go." I mean, and like I said, the impact is the same, but there's got to be different approaches to this.
I want people to realize, though, that we are not going into India and trying to vaccinate people. The UK is not trying to go into that country and do that. The Indian government themselves is doing that for their own people, that they are managing their own crisis and have not asked for any physical help to vaccinate that many people. They're handling it themselves. And so these people, if they have mistrust and stuff, it's got to be just with their own government. And I guess I'm not trying to say that's good or bad or anything, but we're not there being the people who are mistrusted.
No, they are a sovereign country.
They're mistrusting their own government.
Yeah.
But there's a good reason there, but there's history behind it. There's a reason why, and you can't just. This is the same argument I was having on Tuesday. The thing is, we can't just ignore history, and one of the reasons why they're not doing a certain thing is because of history.
No, and I realize, like in the United States, a fair portion of the Black community who does not want to get vaccinated are thinking about the Tuskegee experiments and stuff like that.
Yeah,
in the UK,
and one epidemiologist pointed out that he said, look, and it's perfectly normal for them to fear what happened to those people, but those people were given a disease and not given a cure. We're not giving a disease, we're just giving a cure.
But look up hysterectomies in the UK. Look up hysterectomies of black women in the UK.
Well, yeah.
There's just a history of just bad science going on with people. So it's going to take, and this is within recent history of women getting needlessly getting surgeries in the black women getting needlessly surgeries in the UK. So there's a lot of people who just don't trust the system. Right
here in the US, that was happening to a lot of the Hispanic immigrants along the border, that they were giving the women needless hysterectomies.
Yeah, it's just effing
but
gross.
As far as the vaccine thing and the mistrust in minority communities, I really have to wonder, if a lot of that isn't intentional disinformation. That, we were talking before about the level of bigotry, even in the levels of government. And have they been intentionally spreading disinformation in the minority communities, thinking that this would help reduce the population of the minorities?
Absolutely.
I think it's important that we not get too crazy conspiratorial about this whole thing.
That's not conspiracy. See, that's the problem. These are things that actually happened, and that's why we have this clusterfuck today. And that's the exact problem. I'm like, take the effing vaccine. If I could have a vaccine gun, I'd walk around shooting people with it. Like, boom, you're not
please. Pine Steak was joking about using a blow dart, and I was like, fucking give me one. Because my dad is an anti-vaxxer now, and I'm just like, you fucking went to nursing school, you idiot.
Yeah. And that's the alarming thing, is how many people who are, actually working in care centers and places like that are refusing to get it.
A lot of
these people obviously had some medical training. They know how vaccines work.
I saw an RN who was on the news today. They didn't identify what state, but she was saying no, she's not going to get the vaccine because she says, I need to see that this has been tested more thoroughly. She says, when it has been tested more thoroughly, I'll get the vaccine. What does that mean? Now I won't do it because it's not been tested enough. And I'm wondering, well, what, great, you're an RN. What do you really know about epidemiology? What do you really know about R&D and studies to test things like this? What is your knowledge base? Just because you're a medical person doesn't mean you know everything about this, and that your decision is not necessarily technically valid. Emotionally, it's 100% valid, and she should not take it if she doesn't want it. But
it's kind of like at my job, you have to have certain certifications, and there's people who have been around special needs people their whole lives and don't have certifications, and they feel like they're an expert. Just because, even if you've been around something your whole life, you can spot it, but you don't know the medical reasons behind you can't explain it like a doctor would, is my whole thing. Like, I know everything there is to know about my son, but I can't tell you the exact reason of autism.
Well, and doctors, I don't necessarily just take the word of a doctor either. If they're not an epidemiologist or have specific training and experience in doing this sort of double-blind research and compiling of statistics and stuff, how much do they absolutely know that they can say this or that and say, no, you should wait on the vaccine until it's well, how do you know that? Just because you're a doctor. So, who is the expert? I don't know. Other than Fauci. However you pronounce it.
Yeah, well, my aggravation is watching my dad go down the conspiracy pipeline. So, and he damn well knows better because he's the one who taught me how to critically think.
Well, and with his particular health,
what though,
getting all the protection he can possibly get.
I've watched quite a few people I respect turn into full-on Fox News Trumpers.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's my dad, and he's not. And it's not a light version of it either. Anytime I even bring up something like in a polite manner, like he gets aggressive and fearful and angry just automatically.
Mhm.
And that's why I said, and that's the thing, is he's assuming that somehow he's gonna make it through because he's following all the social distancing rules. And I'm like, that helps. That helps a lot. That's not fucking foolproof. The vaccine isn't either, but at least it adds another layer.
Okay,
Well,
so
and there are individual, circumstances that you have to consider. Sloth Girl has MS, so she was concerned about it. So yeah, she called and she talked to her neurologist for a while to, decide whether or not whether she should really get the vaccine or whether it would be risky.
same here.
And basically she was told that she would probably have more side effects, but that it would still be a good idea to get it.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah,
pretty much told the same thing.
I've he's not listening to reason at all, and that's the problem. Is the reason has gone completely out the window. Like, none of what he comes up with has any basis in reality whatsoever at this point.
Is it if you don't mind me asking, Tria, does your dad watch like Fox News? Does he listen to like independent radio?
He likes Ben Shapiro, Tim Pool, Fox
Yikes.
News, the Epic Times.
Do you know what's really funny? So Ben Shapiro, first off, lives in one of the gayest areas in America. Second, Ben Shapiro, for someone who claims to be so tough and manly, wouldn't even know how to turn on a motorcycle. I'd be surprised if he drives his own car.
He's 5'4".
Really?
That's what I heard today.
That actually explains a lot.
Classic short man syndrome.
My brother's like that. I have all of my brothers are relatively 5'10-ish, 5'9-ish, around there. I have one who's 5'6", and he is Napoleon. He is opinionated, tries to fight everybody. He has little man syndrome.
And did you know that Napoleon was actually closer to 6 foot?
No,
Why they call him a
he
little man?
wasn't that tall. Napoleon was 5'7", which for that time was average to tall for men. The whole thing about him being short was propaganda spread by a guy who he pissed off, who happened to run a newspaper.
Hey, it works.
That's awesome.
It works. That's why we call Gaius Caligula. Caligula means Boudicans, but his enemies won out, so we call him Caligula instead of Gaius Germanicus or whatever his name was. So that works.
Yeah, it's amazing how much the gossip and rumors wind up being what we believe later on. But yeah, I
get that all the time, actually. I get that all the time where someone will talk to me and they're like, "Oh, I heard this and this about you, and you're so nice." People believe propaganda and BS,
Well, like the thing with Napoleon, that's been carried in textbooks for 100 years.
I mean, I believed it. That's what I was taught. I didn't know that it was all, like people slandering each other in newspapers and shit.
Yep.
Have you ever heard of the book Lies My Teacher Told Me?
Yes.
No, yes, I have, but I need to get it, because I
haven't read it in a while, but it's a very eye-opening book because it puts the blood stain back on history. It tells the real version of what.
Well, and like the founding fathers are so much more interesting if you get the real story instead of the sanitized whitewash version they give us.
Yes.
Because you start to get the impression that, okay, they were real people after all.
They brewed their own beer. There's too many stories.
Benjamin Franklin got around. A lot.
So Ben Franklin was a terrible lech.
Ben-
And the fact that during an age when most people didn't live past 45, he was still seducing women when he was 70.
Yeah, Ben
It's pretty
Franklin.
damn impressive.
And the one thing about Ben Franklin that everybody forgets, Ben Franklin wrote everything down. Ben Franklin had a pen name called Prudence Goodwife, and another one, like Ben Franklin was a nut. He would write into newspapers and pose to be other people. Ben Franklin was absolutely just an amazing human being.
During the Revolution, Ben Franklin used his personal fortune to finance a pirate fleet with the agreement that they would attack English ships and leave the French ships alone.
American hero.
That's
Ben
pretty cool.
Okay, that sounds
just-
like
that's
my
just
kind of
pretty
gig,
cool.
though. Like paid piracy? Yeah, let's go. Of course, I did say that if my evil job, if I were to be evil, would be the ship's cook, who you didn't fuck with because had no problems poisoning your ass if you got on her nerves.
I don't know if it's a
Here you
Ken
go, Will.
Burns.
Combined my hats for you.
Oh, now you look like Miss Muffet.
Want to see my tuffet?
I think it's a Ken Burns documentary, but it's an amazing PBS documentary about Ben Franklin. You should look it up. It's like a 3 or 4 hour documentary, but Ben Franklin was an amazing. Robert X. It literally means he was the Legion's mascot. It literally means Bootykins, like little boots, because he had a full uniform, a full Roman soldier uniform. So he was like their little mascot. He had a sword and everything.
Yeah, there's Robert Exet further down. He was the Legion's pet.
Yeah. Well, his father was the thrasher of the Germans, so that's why their name is Germanicus. History's crazy. History is absolutely nuts. And Native Atheist and I have a question. What exactly is a tuffet? Native Atheist had the question.
Let's see.
Alexa,
Okay, do we have a
What is a
Brits in here
tuffet?
for that?
Little Miss Muffet sat on her tuffet. I'm assuming it's her ass.
No, actually, I think it was actually like a milking stool.
Oh, okay.
Alexa, what's a tuffet?
The noun, puppet, can have a few meanings. 1. An artificial figure representing a human being or an animal, manipulated by the hand, rods, wires, etc., as on a miniature stage.
Alexa, thank you.
Okay,
No, it's my accent. She heard puppet.
well, I just
Uh,
pulled it up, and the second definition it says is a footstool or a low seat.
So technically, stool is a tuffet.
Yep. Well, I thought it could refer to a milking stool because I always thought that's what it was in the nursery rhyme.
well, I mean, she was eating curds and whey, so.
Oh,
What? Cheese curds? Cheese curds are great.
I'm from the southern part of America.
Hold on. Fried cheese curds are awesome.
Says
Sorry.
the guy who
I had some
obsessively eats chili fries. I've been to Canada. I've had what is it? Pontoon? No,
Poutine?
poutine. I'm tired and high. Poutine it's good.
Oh, I'd love to try some poutine.
That was one of the things that really got Sloth Girl bummed about the lockdown was that we didn't have the state fair last summer, so she couldn't go for getting cheese curds.
Okay, me too. In Bakersfield, California, out in the middle of nowhere, you can get their state fair. You could get damn near anything fried. Anything. They have fried pickles, fried ice cream, fried Oreos are the best.
At the Minnesota State Fair, there is literally a vendor there that will deep fry anything on a stick.
That's awesome.
You
See,
can bring anything; they will dip it in batter and fry it for you.
Oh, that's funny. So can I bring a rat from my basement?
Sure.
I guess so.
Oh, that's
But deep fried pickles and deep fried candy bars are available from a number of vendors there.
oh, deep fried pickles are so good. I started
Have you ever had a deep fried hot dog?
okay, so Jenny literally
That's
just
called
told
a
me that,
corn dog.
I make my own corn dogs with cornbread and I fry them.
No, this is where you would just take a hot dog, and we're quality hot dogs. We're not talking Oscar Mayer wieners, but you take a quality hot dog and you toss it in the deep fryer all by itself, and wait for it to start to blister and stuff. And
I
then
fry
then
hot
you know
dogs.
it's done.
I'm on the pan. But Jenny, did you hear what I said? I make my own hot dogs on a stick from scratch.
Well, I would like to try those.
They're so good. Yeah, but the thing is, here's the problem. If I continue eating like I eat now, I won't live to see 55.
Yeah, you don't want to get fat like me. Stop
Well,
it.
no, I'm obsessed with pastrami, chili cheese fries, pizza, you know, everything that's gonna cut my life short.
I have been resisting my urge to make two of my most favorite things. One is my meatloaf. I absolutely adore my meatloaf. I make this big fucking 3-pound loaf of meat.
Exactly. See, I do that too. Meatloaf is so
And
good.
I fridge it and I slice it thin for sandwiches because it's the best.
Yep.
That's the best way to eat it.
Okay, just got to cut in here for a moment. Doc, I just went on to Twitter and I changed the name of Stool's group to the Tantric Tuffet. He'll see it when he gets up in the morning.
And the other
Yeah,
one is
I mean, who
my
wants to grow
lasagna.
old anymore anyway?
Well, growing old is better than the alternative.
What?
What
It's
is
better
the
than dying
alternative?
young.
Yeah, you won't be. If you died young, you wouldn't know the difference, anyways. And I'm no longer considered young. Even no matter how much I try to pretend to be, I am no longer in that young age range.
See, you still look 30s.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jenny. Thank you.
I mean, way
Okay.
late 30s, but
I'm sure I think the way they get away with frying just about anything is the idea that nothing can survive the hot oil.
well, yeah. You know,
I gotta look that up because now I'm craving carnival food.
I want con food. God damn it, I miss con food.
My ex-wife takes my son to this place. I gotta look it up before I promote it. But it's basically a pop-up shop because we in Southern California we have a ton of festivals, carnivals, and this place basically sells carnival food, but in a Corona setting. So you have to observe social distance. There it is. Let's see.
well, that would be okay.
Okay, it's an open air experience for your family, friends.
I've never had a funnel cake.
Oh, look at that. My son goes there all the time. That's so funny. Basically, it's an open air park for you pay $30 a ticket and you get to gorge until your kid has a full hypoglycemic shock or you throw up and have to take your kid home. No wonder she always complains on how expensive it is. It's $30 a ticket and they go all the time. And she takes at least 5 or 6 people with her. No wonder it's expensive.
I've really been sad for my hometown, Milwaukee, that every year Milwaukee holds a series of they're called grouped together and just called the ethnic festivals. There's Mexican Fest. What are they just call it Mexifest. Polish Fest, German Fest, Italian Fest, Arab Fest. Native American Fest, and a couple others I'm forgetting. Asian Fest. Almost 1/3 that should be broken up. And then they have their big thing, Summerfest, which is 2 weeks of nothing but everybody who's anybody in the music business comes and plays.
Awesome.
Yeah, you can get in the morning for a flat fee of, I think it's like $8 or $10, and spend the entire day till midnight, and for the same money. It's really quite the deal. And there's, of course, all the county fair type food and stuff like that. But also, some of the biggest restaurants in town come in and do their actual house dishes. You can get filet mignon or
That's
something.
awesome.
Yeah, it's really quite a party, and it goes 2 weeks over 4th of July, so that the 4th of July fireworks are always part of it.
Yeah.
Now
Well,
you're making me miss everything, like the
That's-
medieval
yeah.
festivals, all that.
the Taste of Minnesota at the state capitol. That's all it is just all these restaurants and food vendors.
We have something
Summerfest
called.
has been going on since 1968,
Let me look up the Strawberry Festival.
and it's right on Milwaukee's lakefront. I mean, literally, land, rocks, water. It's just a beautiful environment.
No, I think in June is Free Comic Book Day, and by that time, Puff and I should be fully vaccinated. We're gonna go to the smaller shit because I don't want to go into things with like big crowds, especially because I live in Florida, and Florida's trying to kill both her and I. But she and I are like, I can't wait to go to like the little library mini con and like get some con food and maybe pick up a comic book and like just something small and tiny, and just see people, because it's been hard to be cooped up. It's the right thing to do, don't get me wrong, but it's just like we're going to go feral compared to what we've been doing the past year once we're both fully vaccinated. Being here all the time has kind of sucked.
No, I know that. Honestly, I've been home for over a year, and it's starting to get to me. I go through bouts of
I've
where
got to
I'm
start
like,
finding new things to do.
yeah.
I've started reading. Well, I do Audible books because I like to have my hands busy too. But I've been rereading books, and I just started Hitchhiker's Guide again.
Like, honestly,
I've
Okay.
also read, like Richard Feinstein's 6 Easy Pieces, and some actual educational stuff.
I'm trying to look it up, and I'm getting contradictory results that Free Comic Day is either August 14th or September 25th.
and I'm so sad.
That's
I'm
wrong
so
on
sad.
both counts. Free
I
Comic
just-
Book Day is in June and October.
I just looked up my favorite festival, and it's
Yeah.
it's canceled for the first time in 37 years.
Yeah, that's
that's
Summerfest was canceled last year with all the ethnic festivals in Milwaukee. That was my point of telling the story.
I can't believe it. I'm so sad that I should not have looked that up. That kind of ruined my. Now I gotta, because every summer I knew, during certain months there's a festival every weekend. There's somewhere to go. You pay $10, you walk in. It's amazing, and all of that. None of that's gonna be around. And what's gonna happen is there's gonna be a bunch of people wandering around on the beach, spreading corona to each other.
Okay, so you were right. They changed the dates this year, I guess, to wait until everybody got vaccinated. Because, yeah, usually it's in May or June, and they set it up for August 14th. So I wonder if they're only going to do one instead of two this year. Because I go both times. I go to a specific comic book store because I love it, because they have they have like the odd shit. Like if you go back to the back, you can find like a Rev Dim from Andromeda and
wow.
like a Sequest puzzle piece, a Sequest
Oh,
jigsaw puzzle.
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
like that's one of the reasons it's one of my favorites. They have the oddest shit in the background. Just I love going back there and
love
seeing
that.
seeing all this stuff because you don't typically find that because that's considered the B-rated science fiction and not quite as popular.
Yeah. Well, that's my favorite gaming convention, Con of the North. That they didn't actually cancel it entirely. They did it as an online-only event this year, so it wasn't at all the same thing.
They tried to
Yeah.
do that with Comic-Con, and it was a disaster. They tried to do that with the San Diego
Yeah.
Comic-Con.
Oof. See, I can see that working for MediumCon because it kind of did for local, like medium-ish size ones. Like, they did the steampunk one, Ancient City Con, actually went off really fucking well. Of course, they've been doing stuff for years. I think WasabiCon was also done, and while there were kinks, it wasn't actually too bad. I'm still fucking mad that Collective Con in the middle, at the very, very beginning, was like, oh yeah, we're just gonna social distance everybody and like do hand sanitizing stations. And I'm like, no.
Doorknob Head is hilarious.
Yeah,
Oh,
well, that's it. I was glad at least that they didn't do Con of the North in person. And they said 6 months ahead of time that they weren't going to cancel it this year, and then they worked it out to be an online thing.
Well, the thing is that
that's right. In LA, also the super rich were the only people who were allowed to attend the live events. So basically, what happens if you paid a bunch of money, you got to go to San Diego Comic-Con. The rest of us had to watch it on TV and online. It's just really sad. It's going to be like that for a while, though. I have
okay, Doorknob Head. The reason I'm still mad is points at Florida. You just look at the news once a day coming out of Florida, and you will find out why I'm upset about living here, even though it's my home and I love it.
Yeah, again, Florida's elected representatives did not do them any favors.
And Jared,
No, they're still not doing us any fucking favors.
And Jared, what is DragCon?
I'm assuming Dragon Con, the one in Georgia?
Well, I thought you meant Dragon Con, but I wasn't sure.
RuPaul has made millions off of RuPaul's Drag Race. They have a drag con that goes around the world.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm assuming because I mean it could
that's
be.
What I was wondering. Was it RuPaul drag or USAC drag or
RuPaul has reinvented the drag con. I actually watched the one they put on in the UK last year because I was that bored. It was actually pretty exciting and hilarious.
Okay, no, Andre says it is one for drag performers.
Yeah. I have no clue about that one.
That would be fun to go to.
Well, one of the things I'm aiming for, if I can get things together, I think that a good opportunity for me to try presenting female in public is that the convention I normally do in October, Confabulous, is a gaming convention that is organized by an LGBT group.
Oh, I would love to go to that sometime. That sounds fun.
Yeah, that seems to me to be an appropriate place for me to kind of try my first time being out in public female.
Yeah. I just have "She's My Cherry Pie" stuck in my head from like 5 conversations ago.
Yeah. Well, because I brought it up in the What the Fuck stream a couple hours ago, because we were talking about one-hit wonders, and I was saying how the artist said he absolutely hated that song because he said he had done so many better songs, and that was the only one anyone remembered.
I wonder how Motley Crue felt about Dr. Feelgood. They probably felt the same way, because that was like the one song back in the day that everybody knew.
Yeah, he actually said that Cherry Pie was a song that he had literally scribbled out on a napkin in like 15 minutes.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I watched a documentary about Gwen Stefani, and it was really interesting to see how a lot of what her inspiration was for certain songs that I listened to when I was younger. It was actually really interesting. And for those kids who don't know, Gwen Stefani was in a group called No Doubt a long time ago, before she was on judge shows. That's like when people don't know that during all the riots and stuff that was going on, people were wondering why Ice-T was speaking out, and they didn't know that he was like the original fuck the police guy. But people only knew him as an actor who played cops on TV.
Oh, I just saw on the TV, William, that the Brewers beat the Dodgers.
That's all right. We're still world champs. We're still the 2020 reigning world champions. And like, how many games? Alexa, what's the Los Angeles Dodgers record right now?
This season, the Dodgers are 16-10 and ranked second in the NL West.
Oh, come on. 16-10. They're smashing it right now. Do you know how many years the Dodgers were just complete sorry garbage? Kind of like my Kings. And I'm loyal to hockey and baseball, but they're just hockey stinky this year. Dodgers are going to be okay.
They're talking about some sports ball thing, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. That's fine.
Jenny,
I'll jump back in later.
If you ever really want to razz me, the Minnesota Wild are way better than the Los Angeles Kings at hockey. And we play the Wild, like they have these really weird divisions where the because of COVID. So all the Canadians play together, all the West Coast teams play, and we end up playing. We've played Minnesota more times this season than I've seen them in the past like 10 years. So
California and Texas have no right to have an ice hockey team. If you don't have at least one lake in your state that freezes over, you shouldn't have a team.
Okay.
Hi, Florida jumps in. We've had a hockey team off and on for 20 years now.
Exactly.
Well, so is Texas, only because they bought the team from Minnesota.
Absolutely. See, the thing about LA, it's really weird. We have hockey rings here everywhere. People love ice skating. People absolutely love. So you can rent skates and go ice skating at malls here.
Oh, hey, my city is the one that has the hockey team.
See, that's awesome. Exactly. That's what I'm.
It's minor league, but still.
Minor league hockey, minor league sports, quite honestly, are more fun because people are there because they want to be, and it's for the passion. Someone's playing the Oregon, the food's better, people are louder. I love going to minor league games.
I do have to say that I went to see the St. Paul baseball farm team, and I enjoyed that a lot more than the professional baseball.
Absolutely.
I want to catch our local lacrosse loggers.
That's awesome.
I forget if it's triple or double A or whatever level it is, but it's a farm team. I know that.
We have quite a few out here. We have the Jayhawks. Someone I went to high school with, who everybody thought was going to be like the next biggest thing ever. He's been playing for the Jayhawks for like almost 20 years.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's a rough life. I mean, those guys, you know, when they go to a different city, it's not like the team puts them up in some fancy ass hotel or anything.
No, you gotta have yeah.
a
They're
lot of them get room and board with fans, with just fans of the game, who say, "Yeah, come on in. You can spend the day or two at my place, and I'll feed
Oh,
you."
really?
Oh yeah.
I
It's
didn't know
it's
that.
a real interesting community.
Still
I
to
knew
this
that a
day.
lot of them basically wound up driving their own campers from city to city.
Well, it depends. Okay, so it also depends because the American Hockey League has the same problem right now. It depends on how much money your organization has. So, can your organization afford to buy a bus? Can they afford to buy a plane? Can they afford to send you guys somewhere every time? You know, and that's where certain teams thrive and other teams are just they get bought out. So again, it always comes down to money. It's really sad. That's kind of killed AAA sports in general.
Hey Siri.
Yeah, unless they can get a company to sponsor them.
Siri doesn't work with Steam Yards. Oh well, such is life. Alexa, what is the Brewers' record?
This season, the Brewers are 15-10 and ranked first in the NL Central.
Oh, really?
Do you know that worked because I don't have my headphones in? I'm gonna take care of that real quick.
Well, actually, we've been going almost 2.5 hours here, and I need to wrap up because I need to get up in the morning and get my second COVID shot.
I was wondering about that
Yay!
because that seems like an early rise.
Well, it's not terribly early, but I still have to be there less than 8 hours from now.
I got to get up like 5.5, 6 hours from now, so I understand.
Yeah, so I've got to manage to get to bed and get some sleep and, get up and get ready and drive over there.
Well, you have a wonderful time. Is there going to be a long line, or they got a program that moves along pretty quickly?
Well, Sloth Girl got her second shot last week, and she said they got her in and out of there pretty quick. So,
good. I really liked doing it on the county level, like we did here. That there's only 18,000 people in our county, and so their community center at the county seat, which is Caledonia, they had it set up real nicely, with tables and aisles and where you walk, where you wait, where you stand, and all the stuff, and it was flowing pretty well. They would schedule like 50, 60 people per hour or per half hour or something like that, thinking that's all the longer you'd have to be there, and it flowed pretty nicely. There weren't a bunch of hangups, and people weren't like annoyed because they're waiting too long.
Yeah, well, the place here is actually a building that's owned by the healthcare center, by the insurance company. So they had opened up an auditorium. So basically along the wall, they've got the booths for everybody to get their shots.
Oh,
and
awesome.
then they've got the chairs spaced out 6 feet apart for you to, sit there for 15 minutes or so to make sure you're not having any serious side effects before you go home. So yeah, we're getting the Pfizer vaccines. And Sloth Girl was knocked out with, basically fatigue and flu symptoms for about 4 days, but that was expected with her.
I'm jealous of my sister. She got a little bit tired and then went to bed and was fine the next day. It took me 2 full days of sleep and strength to recover. And I'm just like, I couldn't have gotten those genes. Hey, share.
I got absolutely zero symptoms at all whatsoever. Just like any other shot I ever had.
Hey, if it knocks me out and makes me sleep all day, I'll consider that to be a benefit.
The problem is, part of the problem is that now that I've done that, I now have to try to force myself to be a daytime person again, because I'm back in night owl mode.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know that won't be a problem for me because anything that manages to put me on a schedule that's not going to last more than 3 days. Okay, so anyway, so yeah, let's wrap it up here. Tria, you have anything you want to plug before you go?
I'm not doing anything YouTube wise. Y'all know the reason by now.
Yep.
I am. If you're interested in doing some D&D stuff, another tabletop, we've actually got a small server that we're doing that on now. It's owned by Godless Cranium. That we hop on and basically usually have at least 2 to 3 games every weekend.
Okay, so that Discord?
Yep, it's Discord. Message or tag or message Godless Cranium if you want in. And basically, if you want to hear me rant about Mormonism, getting through COVID, or any of my other usual stuff, I'm basically mostly on Twitter. You can follow me there. Someday I might do the YouTube again. I don't know, but it ain't happening anytime real soon. So
Okay.
that's what I'm up to.
All right. Jenny, you got any upcoming appearances?
Well, the usual movie night on Friday at 11:30 Eastern Time. It'll be our 3rd show in a row now for the comeback. So please, everybody, come on down and give us a few likes. We kind of need the support right now. Then next week, Tuesday, I'll be doing Dave's Critical Cripple questions show. If you haven't seen it, it's a lot of fun. You should definitely check it out. You can do a Twitter search for Critical Cripple, and I'm sure you can find out the exact schedule or the link to find it there on YouTube. I think it's going to be, let's see, it's going to be 3:30 Central Time. So whatever that works out for your time. And I'm probably going to masturbate on Saturday.
It's good to plan those things out.
Well, yeah, it is.
It's good to keep us adhere to a schedule.
Well, get fresh lube, that kind of stuff.
And live longer.
I was about to say you're waiting till Saturday, and then I realized it's not Wednesday anymore. It's Friday. Never mind.
I'm waiting for Doorknob Head to say something.
Okay, Will, how about you?
All right, so you're going to get the tired version. Hi, I'm Godless Sewing from the Godless Sewing channel. You guys should all go subscribe to the Godless Sewing channel. Every Thursday, Jen from Jen's Little Corner, Kitty the Atheist, and myself have the What the Fuck show. And Purple Rhymes with Orange is usually there. They are usually there as well. So every Wednesday, Sam Chaos, Maddie from Science Side Up, and myself also have a podcast called Pub Religion. We're an atheist, a pagan, and a Christian walk into a bar, and I'm exhausted. And I don't have to shill for Purple because we're already here. I have a whole Rolodex I go through now. And
The What the Fuck show.
Yeah, wear a mask, don't be a dick, and I don't know anything else. I'm going to bed.
Okay, and well, assuming that the second shot doesn't wear me out too much, I'll be on with the shills Friday evening here. Other than that, I'll my show's next week, Wednesday at noon, Thursday at midnight, and be on with Will and Jen on the What the Fuck show Thursday at 7. Or actually Thursday at 9 is when they start, rather. But yeah.
Oh well, it's 7 civilized time.
Yeah, okay. I'm getting the time screwed up because So anyway, so thank you all for coming. And again, I would like to thank my patrons, Vonrick, Junie the Apostate, Ox, Robert X, who has been showing all the links for us, Mikey Famine, the Lavender Lady, and Greg Hartwick. I appreciate your support. And this weekend will actually be the 3rd anniversary of when I created this channel. So yeah, starting next week, we'll be going into season 6. And Juning the Apostate has made me a new avatar that will be premiering next week.
Ooh.
Shiny.
Yay.
So you'll have to tune in next week and see that. So bye-bye all.
Bye.
Nice.